2, and 1. Morning, everyone. We're going to let folks come in from the green room. All right, good morning. I'm Liz Fairchild, Executive Director of Business Forward. It's great to see folks starting to enter the main room. We're so happy to have you with us. We are delighted to have you join us this morning for the Department of Commerce's national relaunch of the Office of Faith-Based and Neighborhood Partnerships. We're joined by Andres Chong-Qu, the Director of the Office of Faith-Based and Neighborhood Partnerships. Andres is going to share more on the purpose of this working group and introduce our guest speakers from both the White House and Commerce. We'll then be going into some prepared questions from you all and ideas before hearing from other folks involved in today's relaunch. So glad to have you with us. Before we get started, I want to cover a few items. Please note we're recording this relaunch for those that cannot join live this morning. If you'd like to ask a question or share a comment, you can use the Zoom chat. And for sound quality, you'll note that you have been muted. Again, we really appreciate everyone for joining us today. So for the next hour, we're going to hear from officials at the Department of Commerce on the mission and vision of your state level cohorts. We'll also hear a conversation between the Deputy Secretary Don Graves and Chief Economist Ronnie Chatterji using some of those pre-submitted questions during the RSVP process. And around the 45-minute mark, get ready because we're going to open it up to Q&A and comments from you all, especially in the chat, so start preparing now. Andres, I'll hand it over to you.
Liz, good morning, and thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. What a day. It is truly exciting to welcome folks from across the United States to kick off this incredible Office of Faith-Based and Neighborhood Partnerships. Just a little history for you guys. It was started under President Bush. He founded the Faith-Based and Community Initiative in January 2001 under Executive Order 13199. Then the Obama administration, President Obama, amended that EO to rework the office into the Office of Faith-Based and Neighborhood Partnerships to refurbish it. And then under the Trump administration, the office was renamed to the White House Faith and Opportunity Initiative. And now during the Biden administration, the office was reestablished into the Office of Faith-Based and Neighborhood Partnerships in February 2021 under Executive Order 14015. So that's a little bit of history about this office. I'm excited today to kick us off into a wonderful start for the programs and for the mission and vision of this office. But before I get started, I wanted to quickly recognize some folks that have been incredible as partners, as co-hosts nationally and statewide, for them to introduce themselves and share their excitement about this initiative. So I'm going to go ahead and start with Mr. Richard Stoff from Ohio, someone who's a dear friend and mentor and has helped us kick off that event in Ohio. Richard, how are you this morning?
I'm good. Can you all hear me? I'm
Yes,
good. Good. Thanks, Andres. Let me just say this, back in the day when we were all in school, and to the extent we knew anything about the Commerce Department, we probably thought of it as the Department of Business or the Department of Capitalism, if you will. Well, I'll tell you, as a business person, I thank Secretary Raimondo, Deputy Secretary Graves, and you, Andres, for your commitment to equity. And if I can say, kind of weaving a new fabric in the departments, among the department's diverse stakeholders. I call it capitalism of, by, and for the people. It's about who we are as a people. And it's about time. And I'm proud to help.
Thank you so much, Richard. We're lucky to have you as a partner. We also have with us Ms. Chelsea Brown from the Black Greek Foundation, someone who's been pivotal with the DC cohort, and we'll be talking about our cohorts across the United States as we go along with the program. Chelsea, how are you? Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much, Andreas, for incorporating us into this awesome opportunity. I am Chelsea Brown. I'm also a Spring 13 initiate of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, and proud to be a part of the Divine Nine family. And that is why we started Black Greek Fest Foundation. Our goal is really to provide unity and impact in DC and beyond, rooted in brotherhood, sisterhood, unity, of course, and community. And so it makes sense for us to be rooted in this. And our goal is always to work with diverse individuals, whether it be businesses, whether it be to our banks, things like that. And so having the opportunity to work with Andreas and to really highlight all of the amazing opportunities that we have in DC to work with diverse stakeholders has been amazing. So thank you so much for having us a part of this.
Thank you so much, Chelsea, for being such an incredible partner. Today with us, I also want to extend the floor to Mr. Marcos Vilar, who's been an incredible friend to me in Florida and who's helping us kick off that Florida cohort. Marcos, you want to share a couple of words?
Sure, Andres, thank you for your efforts. And to me, what I'd like to say is how proud I am of the work that you all are doing, especially you, Andres, in putting this emphasis on diversity, on faith-based communities, local organizations, making sure that this big program that's coming, these big programs that are coming and are going to be available to people throughout the country, do not miss the grassroots, the local leaders, the folks who really have the opportunity to make a difference in their communities. And the emphasis that you have put on that from the very beginning is inspiring. And we really appreciate the opportunity to work together with you. It's an honor, a privilege, and we look forward to some very productive years in the future that will ensure that there is equity in the development of businesses and opportunities for our communities.
Thank you so much, Marcos. We look forward to working with you as well. It's a pleasure. Now I would like to introduce Liz Fairchild, Executive Director of the Business Forward team. Liz, how are you today?
Good morning. I'm great. Business Forward is so excited to be entering into this partnership with you all. We're a nonprofit that has been working with about 270,000 small business leaders since 2009, especially on the policymaking process. So it's nice to get into the weeds of what happens at the state level when you're thinking about how to connect government, businesses, faith, and community leaders. You're also going to see many of the invitations in the coming weeks coming from Business Forward. So please keep an eye out, and we're excited to work with you.
Thank you so much, Liz. You and your team, what an incredible team. And this invitation is open to all of you. So if your organization is interested in partnering with us, the doors are open. You could be Liz, you could be Richard in our next event in your respective states. We're aiming to open up a cohort all over the United States. So please reach out to us. Our website and will be readily available very soon. But in the meantime, you can email us at faith-based neighborhood partnerships at doc.gov. We will have that email address in the chat box for you to reach out to us if you're interested in becoming a national co-host or a state co-host accordingly. So I have the pleasure today to kick us off, to give us that blessing and say, hey, you guys, go ahead with this work. I have the pleasure of introducing Ms. Melissa Rogers, the director at the White House of the Office of Faith-Based Neighborhood Partnerships. Ms. Rogers, how are you today? Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Great. Sorry, my name's actually Melissa, but we had a little technical difficulty, so I'm doing a jerry-rig thing this morning to join you. Sorry about that. Sometimes our White House traps of security are set so high that it makes it hard to join gatherings like this one. So I'm glad we conquered that obstacle. Thanks, Andres. It's great to see you, and it's great to see everyone on the line this morning. I just want to first bring you warm greetings from President Biden and his personal thanks for all that you're doing to enrich your communities, to promote equity, to promote job creation and economic growth. We're just really grateful for not only that work, but for joining us in this conversation to see what we might do together to really make our efforts more than the sum of their parts. So we just want to thank you. We are so pleased, as I think has already been said, that the Commerce Office and the White House Office of Faith-Based and Neighborhood Partnerships were reestablished by President Biden. And there's so much history that's a bipartisan tradition of this work. And it's so great to be able to revive that work with you. We are thrilled to have Andres at the helm. He's leading in such a dynamic way with his team. And it's just really exciting to think about what we might accomplish together. And please always know that this word partnership is really partnership in word and deed. We want to just, it's not only that we're saying partnerships, we want to have that dialogue with you. We want to hear your ideas. We want to hear what's working and what's not on behalf of the federal government so we can get in and fix it, so we can serve the American people better. I think, as Andres has already mentioned, this is not just a one-time conversation. This is an ongoing conversation, an ongoing effort to build relationships with you so that we can accomplish what we all want to do together, which is serve people in need, make things more equitable, create more jobs, create better jobs for people, and make sure that the country as a whole experiences great economic growth. So we are just thrilled to be able to be here in this conversation with you today. I want to thank you again for your efforts. I won't hold you up any longer, but I look forward to receiving a readout from Andres and his team about the full meeting so that we can make sure that we're working with you as closely as possible. So thanks again, everybody, for your effort. Thanks for letting me say hello, and all best wishes for the rest of the proceedings.
Thank you so much, Melissa. It is such an honor to work with you, and I can attest to the support, programmatically speaking, and the encouragement that we've received from your team. We look forward to that continued partnership. Thank you, Melissa. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.
And so next in our program, guys, I want to jump right into it. I want to go ahead and talk about who we are, what we do, and why we do it. My name is Andres Chong-Qu Torres, for those who just joined us. I'm the director of the Office of Faith-Based and Neighborhood Partnerships, and it is a complete honor to bring you in as co-ideators, as partners in this initiative that we're putting together to better serve our communities. So our main mission here in the office is to promote impactful partnerships between businesses, faith-based organizations and leaders, and community-based organizations. That is at the very top level of what we're trying to do here. And the way we want to go about it is by establishing working groups across the United States in each state. And these tables that we want to put together with your recommendations of the folks that never get to sit at the table, much less at the center of the table, we want to make sure that we have our community-based leaders. We want to make sure we have our faith leaders at that table represented. We want to make sure we have small businesses that never get, a chance to speak up their minds to say what's going on in the communities. And the reason why we want to do it this way is because we know that you know your communities better than anyone else. And so we want to get to the bottom of identifying, assessing, and executing on what the greatest needs are in each one of your communities. And so the goal here is to be able to match the whole of commerce opportunities and resources, such as training, such as technical assistance, such as the access to innovation and the know-how on so many things that the Department of Commerce has to offer that we usually don't know about. The Department of Commerce is a department of data. And I've personally benefited using open source data from the census, using data to understand how to build things, how to connect businesses. So the opportunities are endless. And what we want to do is make sure that you have an access to those opportunities. And so as we move forward in the upcoming weeks, you guys will be receiving the follow-up with this video and a written synopsis of what took place today so that you can share with your organizations and with your CEOs and your leaders in each one of your communities. And you can spread the word about the office and meet us and email us and partner with us as we seek to match all the billions of dollars coming in from the bipartisan infrastructure law and many other resources to our most vulnerable communities. That's the goal at the end of the day. And so we want to hear your voice. We want to hear what's wrong, what's not working, what can be better. And we trust that you guys are the better vessels to carry that message. On that same note, I want to recognize my team here at the Office of Faith-Based and Neighborhood Partnerships. I want to thank Ms. Kristin Galemore, Deputy Director, who joins us from Census, 15 years of experience. Mr. Jesus Murillo, joining us from the Harvard Divinity School as a policy advisor. Ms. Esther Dominguez, Mr. Amir Udin, and Mr. Ben Levine are incredible interns here at Commerce. Without them, this wouldn't be possible. I also want to recognize each one of our national and state partners who spoke earlier today, whose work has been so incredible that we've been able to launch already 4 states, going on the 5th one with the Ohio cohort coming up. So incredibly thankful for that. Next in our programming, we will be welcoming Deputy Secretary Graves, who's been an incredible advocate for this team, for this work, who cares about this work, not just as a deputy secretary, but personally invested in it. And he has entrusted us with this incredible mission of partnering with businesses, faith leaders, and community-based organizations across the United States to promote economic growth and job creation in this country. So he will be joining us for a brief remarks on what he thinks this work is all about. And then after that, we'll be joined by Chief Economist Ronnie Chatterji, who will be joining him in conversation to talk about the importance of this work. As soon as we're done with that, we will go ahead and open up the floor to you guys, so you guys can tell us a little bit of initial reactions on what you think about this initiative, how we can partner together, some of the issues that you've been seeing on the ground. We would love to hear that in the latter part of this program. Let me see if someone from the Deputy Secretary's team is on. Deputy Secretary Graves, are you on? Okay, so he should be joining us shortly. In the meantime, I want to go ahead and talk about each one of the bureaus, which is something incredibly important. In the cohort launches that we had, we were able to introduce a little bit of the work that the bureaus do across the department. So I want to talk very briefly about what I meant by the opportunities afforded by the Commerce Department. NTIA, the National Telecommunications Agency, is rolling out a notice of funding opportunity of $48 billion to help Americans access high-speed internet across the United States. I want you guys to have access to this information. I want you guys to be connected to the public engagement directors at NTIA and the people on the ground. Some of them are joining us in this call, Evan and team from NTIA. I want you to be able to have those one-on-one conversations with them. Same with the MBDA team rolling out small business grants. Same with the EDA team in terms of infrastructure. Each one of these opportunities will be afforded to you, and you'll be able to meet with them in breakout sessions, in one-on-one conversations to dig deeper into how you can get your business to export more, how you can get your business to get connected to commerce and access the whole of commerce wealth of information and opportunities and resources. I see Deputy Secretary Graves joining us just now. It is my pleasure to welcome the Deputy Secretary of the Department of Commerce here in the United States, Mr. Don Graves. Deputy Secretary Graves, how are you today?
Andres, it is always a good day if I get to spend a little bit of time with you and Liz and my good friend Rich Stoff and so many others, talking about how we make this a more inclusive government, that we find ways to lift up our communities. So I couldn't be happier to be with you and with this group.
Thank you, sir. I know that today you have prepared some remarks just to remind folks of the importance of this work from your lighthouse view of the Office of Faith-Based and Neighborhood Partnerships and your friendship with President Biden and how committed you are to not just his objectives on equity, but the objectives on promoting job growth and economic growth in the United States. I'll leave it up to you, Deputy Secretary. Right after your remarks, I will be joined by Chief Economist Ronnie Chatterji, who will join you in candid conversation about this work, and he'll have some questions for you as well.
Great. Andres, thank you so much. Hello, everyone. It is so great to be with you. Thank you for joining us for the virtual relaunch of the Commerce Department's Office of Faith-Based and Neighborhood Partnerships. As you may know, maybe you don't, at the Commerce Department, we have one overarching goal, and that's to improve America's competitiveness so that our workers and our companies can succeed in the global economy. So today's gathering is meant to further that goal by fostering the type of impactful partnerships between businesses and faith-based and community-based organizations that we believe can promote equity, job creation, and economic growth. I should say that a lot of people think about the Department of Commerce as the Department of Business, but really we're about two other things. We're the Department of People and Communities, focused on ways that we can make sure that the economy is working for every part of the country. We're also the Department of Data and Information. And we have more data, more information across our 13 bureaus than I think any other part of the federal government. And we use that information, that data, to help the entire federal government make better decisions about how we build a more inclusive community, a more inclusive economy. Thanks to the President's bipartisan infrastructure law, thanks to the American Rescue Plan, Commerce is actually investing tens of billions of dollars in communities across the country. And we're doubling down to ensure that communities of color, rural communities, and and underserved populations all across the country are getting the support that they need to build a better America. This is something that is very personal for me. Some of you may know this, but I'm a descendant of one of America's first Black patent holders. I understand exactly how important it is to support minority entrepreneurs, to support innovators and businesses, the folks who are coming up with the ideas that could lead our country to groundbreaking new discoveries. But the challenge that we all face is that too often Americans are in communities across the country, they have great ideas, they have hopes and dreams, but they can't convert those ideas into reality. So it's very personal for me that we do this work, that we work with you all to help make sure that we aren't losing people, we aren't losing communities, we aren't losing opportunities to drive economic growth and opportunity all across the country. And we know this isn't just a social mission. This isn't just about a feel-good thing. We know from a Kellogg Foundation study that the US economy could be $8 trillion bigger by 2050 if we could eliminate the racial disparities in health and education, incarceration, and employment. Seems like a big task, but for an economy that is 22 or $23 trillion right now, $8 trillion is a massive increase. So it's really important that we tackle those issues. So I couldn't be more excited. I know Andres is to share the mission and the vision of the Office of Faith-Based and Neighborhood Partnerships, or OFBNP. More importantly, though, we want to hear from you. We want this to be an opportunity for a constant dialogue. So we're so thrilled to have different states participating in the launch. Our goal is to reach every single corner of the United States, not just those places where people often go, the easy to reach places where money flows in and there's great opportunity, but every part of the country. You know your communities and their needs better than any of us do. And we're going to do everything we can to support you so that you get the resources that you need, and more importantly, so that the folks in your communities are getting the resources they need. We want to make sure that we're working with you to ensure that federal dollars are coming to your communities and that they're being used wisely and effectively. We also want this to just be the start. This dialogue needs to continue to build the ecosystem of lasting relationships and friendships, both between the participants and with the Commerce Department. So we believe that our success as a country in the next century is absolutely dependent on the meaningful partnerships between you and us, educational institutions, businesses, the workers, the hardworking Americans in communities all across the country. So I hope that you're going to find this initiative is transformative and that you will consider the Commerce Department and the Office of Faith-Based and Neighborhood Partnerships as a valuable resource and strong allies. I've talked much more than I wanted to, so I will hush up and turn this back to Andres. Thank you for being a part of this, and we're really looking forward to working with you.
Deputy Secretary Graves, thank you for those important remarks to remind us the big picture, right, and why we do this. I wanted to let you know that today we're joined by rabbis, by imams, by pastors, priests, community organizers and leaders from across the country, grassroots organizers from across the country, folks that are working day and night to achieve everything that you just mentioned today. Instead of going to them at the last moment, we're trying to bring them in from the beginning as ideators, co-ideators with us, giving us all of their great ideas, their information to identify and assess where there's need and how we can provide resources to them. So I have the honor of having Mr. Ronnie Chatterji join us today as Chief Economist of the Department of Commerce, so folks can see that we're intentionally thinking about this from every angle, from the economic angle, the social angle, the equity angle, because we don't want to miss a thing. We want to make sure that there are no stones unturned in this equity work, uplifting our most vulnerable communities. Mr. Chatterji, good morning. How are you today? I'll leave up the conversation for you between the Deputy Secretary and you. Go ahead.
Thank you so much, Andreas, and it's an honor to be here with the Deputy Secretary, Don Graves. I want to ask the DepSec some questions and really get down to the details here, but I will say that the story about your ancestors being, patent holders is inspiring, and it reminds people really why I'm even a part of this conversation. They usually don't invite the economists to be part of these discussions, but I think it's clear that it's just as it's morally unjustifiable to leave people behind, we're also leaving money on the table when we don't help people all across this country exploit their God-given talents, to invent, to start companies, to do all the things that so many people didn't have the opportunity to do. And that's why I'm here, because I think about quantifying those economic impacts and making it happen. So thank you, Andreas, for designing a great event. And the Deputy Secretary, thanks for the passion and purpose you bring to the job every day. You inspire us. I want to ask you first to start a little bit about the unique value proposition that the Department of Commerce brings to this. One of the things you may or may not know about the Deputy Secretary is he's worked across government. He's been a senior leader in the White House, in the Treasury Department, and now here in Commerce as our Deputy Secretary. So if you can be sort of descriptive about, what makes Commerce so unique for our small businesses, our faith, and our community organizations, what should people be expecting from sort of a partnership with Commerce?
Ronnie, thanks for that. It's a great question. What I think a lot of people don't realize, and I alluded to this in my opening, is that the Commerce Department isn't just the Department of Business. Yes, we spend a lot of time working with businesses, but we, I think, have the most diverse and varied portfolio of bureaus of any other part of the federal government. We touch on just about every aspect of people's lives. And what we have the ability to do here is to create deeper connections between our various bureaus, from the National Telecommunications and Information Administration, or NTIA, and the work that they're doing on ensuring high-speed internet connectivity to every house, every community, every business in the country, to the Minority Business Development Agency and their work supporting small businesses through their grants programs, to the Economic Development Administration, which is focusing on building the infrastructure that every community needs for sustained economic growth for all parts of the communities, to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration and the work that they're doing on climate resiliency, including the National Weather Service's work in identifying potential ways to remedy the types of climate issues that we're seeing in many underserved communities across the country. The International Trade Administration and the work that they're doing to help small businesses export from the US to other countries, and making it easier for businesses in underserved communities in particular to get access to the resources, the tools, those markets that a lot of times they don't know how to navigate. So that's why this conversation today is so important, because the folks who are participating know the communities much better than we do. We have these great regional representatives from all of our different bureaus who work in communities, but we need this connectivity. We need this throughput, if you will, the information that makes sure that our resources, our tools, the dollars that we're putting out are being used effectively. And so this is really a great platform and space through the OFBNP to raise concerns about the challenges that your communities are facing, the economic growth opportunities, and also to help unlock some of the resources, not just the Department of Commerce, but across the entire federal enterprise, the entire federal government. We want to make sure that you all have a seat at the table, and that your communities, the people you represent, have a seat at the table. Not, as Andre said, not just at the end of the day after everything's been decided, but at the very beginning of the process, as we're thinking through policies, as we're thinking about how programs are structured, as we're thinking about how resources are set to be deployed. More probably than you wanted, Ronnie, but as you know,
No.
get worked up on all.
No, but this is the thing. I mean, I think it's so important to get into the details, because for so many folks outside of government trying to work with us, all they see is an alphabet soup of different names and bureaus that don't make any sense. And when you get into what does the Minority Business Development Administration do, what does the National Telecommunications Association do, what do these different bureaus actually do, we can be the front door for all the folks on this call and all the other calls to help them get to the right place. And Commerce's strength is our scope of all the things we do. So I'm glad you went into the detail that you did. And for folks on the call, we're happy to follow up with Andreas and the team and myself on any of these bureaus, because I do think we can help. I want to pivot, though, to how you're going to help us, because part of this is not just about the benefits that the Department of Commerce can bring to the people on this call and beyond. You also fit into our strategic mission. It's something the Deputy Secretary led us through in our strategic planning exercises earlier this year. He is part of both, executing the strategy, but also thinking about what it should be. When you reflect on that, DepSec, how does the group here and the broader OFBMP community sort of figure into the goals we want to achieve as a Commerce Department and administration?
Really great question. I'm so glad that you asked it. The thing that we recognize here at the department, and I know the president recognizes this because I spent a lot of time with him, is that every community is different. We can't build one-size-fits-all types of programs. What may work in Cincinnati, Columbus, and Cleveland isn't necessarily going to work in Madison County, Mississippi, or for members of the Tlingit and Haida tribes in Alaska. So we have to make sure that, and the reason I raised the 3 C's cities in Ohio is because I'm from Ohio. So it's and Rich is on the call. But we have to make sure that we are providing the type of approach that will work in every community across the country, that we're creating the right type of conditions for economic growth, that will work in all these different communities. And so addressing the needs of our communities through these programs can only be informed when we're having conversations with the faith-based community, when we're having conversations with community and neighborhood organizations. Because again, you all know what's actually happening, and how one program that is well-intended and is designed based on the lived experience of the folks who are designing the program may not actually work for the lived experience of the people in the communities that you represent.
That's fantastic. And Deputy Secretary, I want to ask you one more question and then turn to a couple questions we have from the audience that I have in front of me as well. The last question I had from you from my side was, for all the folks on the call, when they do end up working with us, what can they expect from the Department of Commerce? Because a lot of folks on the call are probably inspired at this point, thinking, okay, I'm going to go up and I'm going to work with these folks. But they're not going to give us too many chances, right? They're busy people. Everyone's running organizations themselves on this. When they interact with us for that first time, what can we guarantee for them, and what can they expect from us in those interactions?
Well, I will start by being maybe a little bit snarky for the government. You will undoubtedly encounter some type of bureaucracy and red tape. That goes without saying. When you're working with the government, it is a very, very large enterprise. We have 50,000 hardworking people here at the Department of Commerce, and so it is a massive battleship, and it's hard to navigate the corridors of this ship. But what you're going to find with Andres and the team that's part of this, certainly Ronnie, you and your work, is the type of partnership, the relationship where we actually want to engage with you. We want to find ways that we make our relationships work better, where we can actually help you navigate things rather than you having to, you or more importantly, the folks you represent, having to try and figure out the crazy map of the federal government to figure out where the right resources are. So that's part of what we want to do. And we know you actually have your own ideas about the ways that we can do a better job in serving the people of this country. So it's not just about us telling you what we are trying to do or want to do or our approach to doing it. It's listening. Just as much of this is listening to you all and then working together to develop solutions, to develop opportunities and pathways that may not already exist. So there's as many resources as you can probably imagine in this department, and we want to make sure that we're able to educate and empower certainly you all and your organizations, but more importantly the communities and the people that you serve.
And Deputy Secretary, if you look at, Dallas Conyers on the chat is making that exact point by saying so much of the challenge with navigating government is knowing whom to talk to and what programs are even available. And we've been thinking a lot about that in commerce because, it's not enough to design great programs and implement them if no one knows about them. And that's why this communication piece is going to be so important. And all the work that Andreas and this office are doing is going to be so important. So Dallas, hopefully that's the spirit of what your comment was. And I think the Deputy Secretary is on the same page with that. Let me ask you one question that sort of came in from the audience early on that I'll sort of combine two questions that I think are relevant, just time permitting. So one is really about deliverables and the second part is about communication. So the way I like to think about this, Deputy Secretary, is, looking a few years from now, imagine we're in 2024, 2025. What are the key deliverables that you want from this office as it connects to communities and faith-based communities all around the country? What are some things we can look at and say, we got this done? And if we think of these things now, I think it's going to make it easier for us to achieve our goals. And then the second piece of that is, as we're achieving these deliverables, what kinds of avenues of communication are going to be most useful for you to know whether we're on track or know whether those gaps are being filled? Because we can't reach those goals unless we're having a constant sort of communication interaction with the folks who we're serving. How do you think about those pieces on accountability?
So I go back to one of the things that I said at the beginning, and I talk about this a lot when I'm around the country because I've seen it firsthand. People in this country have hopes and they have dreams. This is something the president talks about all the time. They have hopes and they have dreams, but right now there's no way of turning those hopes and dreams into or creating the right opportunity to turn those hopes and dreams into lives of dignity. So that's what we're really all about. So a few years from now, I'm hoping that the biggest deliverable that we're creating is lives of dignity for people all across this country who never dreamed that they would actually have the opportunity to take those hopes, those ideas, and turn them into something. And the ways that we do that is are through this type of conversation, but making access not just our dollars and our grant programs, our funding, but also the data, the technology, the information that we have, providing it in ways and formats that empowers communities, that empowers people, that allows for, so just give for instance, we're about to pass this Bipartisan Innovation Act, which will allow us to build semiconductors here in the US, something we haven't really done as much as we should have in the last few decades. Well, why can't these semiconductor fabrication facilities not just be located in places where that's already going on, but why can't we have that entire ecosystem being built and run out of underserved communities across the country to develop new economic development pathways? And to answer the second part of your question, the communication that is best and most helpful, I think, is what you all tell us is the most helpful. We need to hear from you. Is this the right vehicle to start? Are there ways that we can amplify this work. I know that the good thing is we have this great partnership with Liz and Business Forward, and they've been super helpful. But what can we do, whether it's roundtables or emails, it's sharing things on social media, webinars, training sessions. What's the best way that we can offer access to this information and most importantly, timely deliverables for your communities, for your organizations? We want to hear from you directly what makes the most sense, what works the best. It's less about what we think it is, much more importantly, what you all see as the most important part of this.
Deputy Secretary Graves, that's a fantastic point to close on. And I think we should just close where we started with, is the great ideas that so many folks have across the country and our work in helping them unleash it. Somewhere in America, there's probably a little girl who has an idea about climate change or artificial intelligence or semiconductor fabrication. She doesn't know it yet. And if she's born in the wrong zip code, right, if we don't do the things we need to do, she might not get the chance to actually develop and commercialize that idea that will create so much economic and social value. So I think as we work every day, we have to think about your ancestors and the patents that they were able to get, but also the future ones that come down the road that are going to change life for all of us. And I hope we can do that work together. It's great to be here, Andreas. Thanks for allowing us to do this. I'll kick it back to you.
Deputy Secretary Graves and Chief Economist Chatterji, what an honor really to have you enrich this conversation in an intelligent and very affable, equity-minded way. And so we couldn't be more thankful to have leaders like you at the helm guiding this work. Deputy Secretary Graves, thank you for your time. We know you're a very busy man. We'll let you guys go, but just know this, Deputy Secretary Graves, and everyone listening today, he's waiting to hear on those testimonials, right, of that young college graduate who came to our tables, joined the USPTO breakout session, and learned how to patent his invention, right? Like, he's waiting to hear the stories about how we organized in South Carolina and in Florida, and we were able to put together a community center or a cybersecurity center to protect our communities from hackers. He's looking forward to seeing how you organize, and you guys are witnesses of how there's an open channel of communication. Everything that you tell me, I will pass it on to the Deputy Secretary, to Chief Economist Chatterji. They're going to be in the loop, and they're going to be constantly reminding the president, reminding lawmakers and everyone across the country in their level of influence what needs to happen in our communities. Thank you, Deputy Secretary Graves. Thank you, Chief Economist Chatterji. Have a good morning and rest of your day.
Thanks, everybody. Can't wait to hear the great ideas that everyone comes up with.
Thank you, sir. And so, guys, next in our agenda for today, I want to take a quick second to recognize members of the community. The Gullah Geechee community is on the line. Ms. Dallas Conyers from South Carolina is on the line. Ms. Jol Chaney from the Urban League, an incredible partner, both nationally and at the state level, helping us identify who the movers and shakers, who our key organizers are in your communities to bring you to the table. I want to recognize Mr. Evan Feynman, helping us from the NTIA team, from the commerce side of things, to bring high-speed internet to all of our communities, doing really good work to be strategic and to put regional folks there to help you at any time. I want to recognize Father Jose Rodriguez from Florida, an advocate and a doer really of many programs at food table levels, clinics to vaccinate folks, and many other things that he does in the community. I want to recognize Mr. Mark Colon, also from the NTIA team. I want to recognize Mr. Joe Hanley from the ITA team, helping small businesses export. And I want to recognize each one of the reverends. Reverend Marcelino Rivera is here with us today, of the imams, of rabbis from all over the communities, our tribal communities represented today. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the floor to you guys, some of the folks that I already mentioned. I would love to hear from you. Joy, if you would like to lead that into the live
Yes.
How are you today?
I'm great. First of all, can we just stop and give a hand clap to Andreas, who his energy is always up here. And frankly, it makes you excited about the work ahead. And in particular, this office. I'm so proud to be working with him. We are a partner in progress. We're getting our MOUs and all those things together. But let me tell you what, the National Urban League has 90 affiliates across the country. We are a national civil rights organization, more than a century year old, rather. And we have a focus on economic empowerment, parity, and self-reliance for communities of color in urban America, and really all over, wherever our Urban League affiliates are reach. And that is in more than 30 states, right? In hundreds of communities, reaching almost 2 million people per year. And we not only do the advocacy work that you see Mark Morial, our president and CEO on TV doing, we do that work. We love that work. But we also do direct services work through our affiliates on the ground in all those communities, housing, counseling, and entrepreneurship development, and a range of things. And so it's really exciting about the possibility of partnering with the Department of Commerce, Andreas and his team, as well as Liz, Business Forward, and others, right? I'm making the mistake of calling names, right? Always will get you into trouble. So we're looking forward to the possibility of partnering with you all, the excitement about making sure that our affiliate leaders, who are often leaders in their community, are connecting them with other folks on the ground, multicultural. We don't just work with African Americans, with Latinos and Asian Americans and the disabled community, or all kinds of communities, right, who are on the ground. So we are so excited to do this work. Andreas, I'm going to turn it back to you. Keep that energy up, because we have a fight ahead, and people need to know about all of the resources at the Department of Commerce. We're excited about it. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Joy, for those remarks. Again, for those joining us just now, the work is just getting started. This is our national relaunch event of the Commerce Office of Faith-Based and Neighborhood Partnerships. And what's coming is the working group tables, our stakeholder forums, for you guys to tell us what needs to happen in your states, in your communities. We look forward to going to each one of your communities to set up those tables and to send back all of your feedback to the secretary, the deputy secretary, and the president. So who else is joining us today? I know Father Jose Rodriguez is in the line as well. Please, this is the time to tell us what's happening in your communities and what are your initial reactions about this initiative.
It looks like Queen Quet just raised her hand. Ashton, do you mind taking her off of unmute? Queen, whenever you're ready.
Yes, peace and blessings. How Hunter children be? I'm glad for day with all the Hunter children today. This is the Queen Quet head from the body of the Gullah Geechee Nation. I appreciate the repeated shout outs. I do have my camera on, but y'all can't see me, so I guess I'm just unmuted. But I wanted to definitely thank you all for the invitation to be a part of this. This is an outstanding and exciting initiative. And as I wrote in the chat, we are seeking to work with you and collaborate, and will gladly host you here in the Gullah Geechee Nation, which runs from Jacksonville, North Carolina to Jacksonville, Florida, throughout the Sea Islands. And my home island is St. Helena Island here in Beaufort County. So we would love to have a celebration, a launch event right here, and host you so that we can discuss more how we can partner and collaborate to ensure the sustainability of land ownership in the Gullah Geechee Nation, so that people can be self-sufficient and economically empowered, especially through technological training that allows them to be part of the new green enterprises that are available. We do a great deal of work in regard to resiliency and adaptation, and I'm a computer scientist, engineer, and mathematician. So I have been looking for the day to truly work on this so that my people realize how we can use this science to create more commerce so that we can continue to sustain our land. We the Binya and we Naguina with Tall. So thank you, and I'm looking forward to being a part of the working group.
Thank you so much for those words. We are so encouraged and looking forward to our partnership. You have no idea. I've talked to Ms. Dallas Conyers about this several times. This is what we want. We want you leading the charge and you telling us who should be at the table. Enough with the folks that never get a ticket or never got to say their piece because some other more important folks got to it. So this is our time, this is our opportunity, and we're going to make sure that the grassroots has the the lead on this initiative, on this project. Thank you so much, Queen-Quet. We welcome you and we thank you for your presence here. Who else is with us today? I see some hands raised. Liz, I'll let you moderate those questions.
Thank you, Andres. It looks like we have Evan Feynman. We go there first, and then Reverend Nixon, you'll be next.
Thank you so much, Liz. I just wanted to say I'm incredibly excited to see this group coming together. And I'm the director of the BEAD program, which is the program that's building broadband infrastructure to bring high-speed internet to every single American home and business. And I just want to be clear that we are writing the next great chapter in the American infrastructure story. But unlike previous chapters, this chapter is going to start with equity and it's going to live throughout the program. For us to be successful in that endeavor, though, we need y'all's help. We're hiring folks that are going to be in every single state and territory of this country, and they're going to be doing extensive outreach to ensure that every community has a seat at the table and every member of every community gets served. For that to work, though, we've got to hear from you guys. So please, 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 when you get some outreach from our team, respond, share what your community needs and how we can best serve you. This is going to be an incredible opportunity to get every single American high-speed internet, but we've got to hear from y'all to make sure we're not leaving anybody behind.
Thank you so much, Evan. Looking forward to continuing the conversation. Next, we'll go to Reverend Nixon Jr.
Good morning. Good morning. Greetings to you. And I want to say thank you also to the Department of Commerce and to those who've been sharing with us this morning. I'm excited about hearing about this relaunch with the Department of Commerce. I've been working here with a small part of our Black Chamber of Commerce here in Northern Virginia. And I've been working also in part of the faith-based organizations across the country in the African-American diaspora in terms of developing our capacities and working with our local communities. They've been involved with training and teaching from STEM-based kind of platforms, access to workforce opportunities there. So I'm currently developing a model here in the DMV area with helping those who are returning citizens to be able to return to society with skills and be able to become contributors to the economy again. So it's very good to hear what the Department of Commerce is doing. As you all know, the challenge has been in terms of having access to things from broadband, access to just knowing the resources that the technology can be leveraged better in our community. So it will be very good as a part of the National Association of Black Data Processors and doing some work with helping our young people to get engaged in opportunities in entrepreneurship and developing the capacity to transfer their skills in their own communities and strengthen our growth. So a lot of opportunities that I hope this will open up, and I look forward to our further discussion in the weeks and days to come.
Reverend Nixon, thank you so much for those words. We're so excited about this forthcoming partnership with you and your team. I rest assured that one of the advantages of working in the DMV is that we can meet in person. And so we will be following up with an incredible programming in partnership with our good friend Chelsea Brown from the Black Greek Foundation and many others. We look forward to having you here at the table, shedding light into the things that need to happen here at the DMV. Thank you so much for those remarks.
Thank you. I'm not seeing any other hands raised, but I just got a message from Dallas Conyers who says their internet connection's unstable that I'd like to share with the larger group. So Dallas says a major concern is whether many of these community partners are going to be able to actually qualify for programs due to historically low capacity or lack of experience working with the government directly and or historically low budget. So oftentimes making grassroots groups ineligible for these types of programs seems to be a challenge. So Dallas says, excited to work with you all to help dismantle these exclusionary policies. Dallas, thank you. Sorry your internet connection unstable, but I'm glad we were able to share your thoughts with the larger group.
Thank you so much for that note, Reverend Conyers. We appreciate you, like you have no idea, both for helping us put together that incredible cohort in South Carolina but also for being just at an individual level, an incredible human being and American, helping us identify the key leaders in your community. I also want to say that the importance of each one of you guys helping us spread the word after this event, just to remind you for those who just joined, we're going to have a follow-up with a synopsis of what this program is going to be about, what our office does, the why we do it, what we're doing, and when we're going to do it. You're going to receive a follow-up with the video recording, so you can share it with the folks that weren't able to join us today. We understand it's the middle of the summer and folks are on vacation. And so we want you guys to help us spread the word, and both nationally and in the states that we have mentioned. So far, we have opened up in Florida. We have opened up a cohort in South Carolina, in DC, and in Arizona. And we're looking forward to starting the Ohio cohort in the upcoming weeks. This is a very organic initiative. So as you identify the need and as you identify the desire to open up a cohort in your state, we will go to you. We will partner with you. You will be our co-host. We'll sign an MOU and we'll get going. We'll get right to the work. The idea is to match as many of these resources that you've heard from Evan Feynman today from NTIA. You'll hear from folks from EDA, MBDA, the Minority Business Development Agency, and all across the bureaus, patents and trademarks, how to export, how to access grants for small businesses, et cetera, et cetera. I want you guys to have that one-on-one relationship with the bureaus. And so we are the conveners, we are the door openers, the referral points, so that you guys can, take on these important conversations and these important questions like the one that Reverend Conyers shared with the group. I hear Michael Corey is ready to help out with the Ohio cohort. Mr. Richard Stoff, who's an incredible partner of ours and mentor, he will be more than happy to touch base with you and our team, our Deputy Director, Kristin Galemore, in the call today. We will follow up with you so that you're invited to the Ohio launch coming up on August, first week of August, and that you help us set up a table that is strategic about the needs in that community. I don't see any more hands out, but I do want to just thank once again Liz Fairchild, Richard Stoff, Jol Chaney, Dallas Conyers, Miss Chelsea Brown from the Black Greek Foundation, every bureau leader that joined us today, my team, Kristin Galemore, Jesus Murillo, Esther, Amir, and Ben, and the entire Office of Public Engagement here at Commerce. I want to thank each one of you for your commitment to our communities. I want to remind you that we do this for them and that we're going to hear from them and do things with them, not at them. I want to remind you that the work that we do in the faith-based and neighborhood partnerships world is so important to revive and reclaim the soul of our nation, but also to understand that at the end of the day, if we're not doing things for our most vulnerable, we're not doing anything, right? And so I'm very happy to be able to cut through some of the red tape, cut through some of the governmental, grandiosity, and sort of like bring it back down to the grassroots, which is what matters at the end of the day. Thank you guys for your partnership. Thank you for your hard work. We'll be following up, and we thank you for this brainstorming part.
Andres, I think you're just muted. So sorry. Can you come back off mute?
We ask that you share with us your best practices. We seek your guidance. We seek your mentorship. We seek your relationships. You guys are in many ways that factor that allows us to pre-identify key movers and shakers in your community. And so thank you for that. We look forward to engaging with you at that level. You have our email address, commercefbnp@doc.gov. We look forward to hearing from you. I am available every weekday, work day, 9 to 5, to have conversations with you and get your organizations plugged into this work. Thank you guys so much from the bottom of my heart. May God bless you, and we'll see you soon.